Welcome back, everybody, to episode 2 of the Back Lounge podcast. My name is Tank, I'm your host, and I'm a retired roadie with over 15 years of experience in the touring music industry. And in this series, I'm going to get to sit down with band members, artists, other roadies, and anybody else in the music industry, and we're just going to have conversations about whatever comes up. And in today's episode, I have a very, very special guest. I have been really excited about this one. All the way from New Delhi, India. We had an 11 and a half hour time difference in between us to film this one, but we finally lined up the times right. I've got guitarist, flute player, and producer Karan of the Indian folk metal band Bloodywood. Now, normally I'd plug a sponsor in this podcast right here, but today I'm not going to have a sponsor because I just want to talk to you guys about Bloodywood's latest album. And that album is called Rukshak. Now, it's been a really long time since I've had an album that I've been able to listen to from start to finish like this without skipping any of the songs, man. This album, in my opinion, is an absolute masterpiece. It's a work of art. I've been listening to it nonstop since it released, and even though it's still early in the year, I think by the end of 2022, this is gonna be one of my favorite albums of the year. Now, the digital version of it released on February 18th, 2022, but the physical version, the vinyls and the CDs, are gonna release on April 8th. So there are still pre-orders available. And if you're one of the people that are watching this podcast on YouTube, I'll throw links in the description where you can go pre-order and directly support the band if you would like to. I thought this was one hell of a debut studio album, man. It is so awesome, and I can't wait to get this started. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Karan of Bloodywood. Karan, welcome to the podcast, man. Thank you very much for being here. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm very excited to be here, and I mean it.
Yeah, dude, I have been looking forward to this. And for the people that are listening, I just want them to know like how quick this came together. Like
Yeah.
I sent you a message on Instagram maybe like 5 days ago and you were like, yeah, let's just do it, man. So,
Yeah. Yeah, because even though like we haven't spoken ever,
mhm.
okay, but for some reason I feel I've known you for a long time, you know.
Dude, it's such
Yeah.
a wild thing, man, especially with the internet where we like, it's funny you say that because I've had other people say that too
Oh,
that have
okay.
watched the videos or whatever. But the
Hmm.
other thing that helps too is that I find that when I talk to artists like yourself, my background from touring and working in the music industry also helps because
Mm.
usually when you or another artist tells me a story, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've been in those situations.
Mm.
But man, let's just right out of the gates, let's just talk about this. Your brand new album just came out a few weeks ago. How are you
Yeah.
feeling right now?
Very satisfied.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I feel like you're being very humble saying that because not
Oh,
only is it
no.
fantastic, but I saw, US Billboard charts, UK charts, all over the
Mm.
iTunes charts, and I haven't seen a response to an album like this positive in so long, man. It's like every single person I've talked to is just so overjoyed. And even I said on one of my streams, like, this album from start to finish exceeded
Mhm.
my expectations so much that it's all I've been listening to for 3 weeks.
Oh man, amazing. Thank you
Dude,
so much, dude. Thank you
of
so much. I'm
of
so
course.
glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, it's so great. One thing I wanted to ask you though, I saw did something happen with SoundScan or something? Because I saw that a lot of your album sales didn't even get counted.
Yeah. So, what happened was, there was some miscommunication between us and the distributor. Honestly, there's no one to blame.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so what happened was our physical release date got pushed to April,
Hmm.
8th of April. Okay. And, you know, even though the general belief is that things are moving towards the digital area when it comes to music, But when it comes to our genre, the heavier side, rock, metal, punk, people are still buying albums.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where most of the bands are able to chart from, not from streaming, not from digital sales. Yeah, it's mostly from the purchase of CDs and vinyls. So it was huge. It was very important for us that we chart, because no one in India had done that before. Okay, no artist from India had ever been on the charts, on some of the charts that we reached. So it was very important for us, and unfortunately it got pushed further. And we didn't really know that sales don't count as long as they're shipped. It doesn't matter if people have paid for it, it's only going to count when things have been shipped. And that's where all this fiasco came from. And it's unfortunate. It's a very expensive lesson, if I may.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, there's a price you pay for being independent.
And and I'll tell you what too, like even in situations like this where it's not the best outcome, it's
Mhm.
lessons. You've learned for the next time, and that's
Yeah,
happened to a lot of people, and mistakes happen, man. I mean, nothing's perfect,
yeah,
but I mean, even with that, and it's funny you bring up the physical sales, because I mean, you can see back here, I still order vinyls
yeah.
just purely to I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of them. I just
Mhm.
do it when there's a band I like, I want to support
Yeah,
directly, and I just get the vinyl, and it looks pretty cool hanging up.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I get that. I get that.
I pre-ordered your vinyl, and I did notice that because the album released the 18th of February, but I
Hmm.
noticed that the physical sales don't go out until the 8th of April, which
Yeah.
totally fine. And with vinyl
Hmm.
printing right now, anyways,
Mm.
manufacturing has been so bad that, dude, there's albums that I ordered last year that I still haven't gotten now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
no big deal, but
You know why
um
that's happening? But it's because, I'm sure you know this, but a very famous pop artist placed an order for 500,000 vinyls to be printed,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's causing a global shortage.
I
So
think it was Adele, if I remember right.
yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
Adele.
And
Yeah.
that's so crazy. Like I
Yeah.
was actually talking about that on one of my streams, and I told people that, and they're like, that's real?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. That really happened." Like that's so crazy. And
Yeah.
one of the things you just kind of touched on it. You guys are still fully independent, man, and that like so when it comes to the management side of things, is that pretty
Mhm.
much just you?
It's no. Yeah, so we divided equally between the three of us. It's
Okay.
me, Jayant, and Rahul. So right now, Rahul's taking care of all of the PR, all of the interviews. Um, Jayant and I, Jayant takes care of some of the interviews. I stopped doing them completely because there was so much to do, and a part of the work was just being ignored. Basically, handling the distributor, keeping track of sales, keeping track of your targets. So it's an equal division of work between
Yeah,
the three of us when it comes to
that's
management.
that's important. Like I
Yeah.
haven't been in a band in so long. Like I once I became a roadie, I was done playing, but that's
Yeah.
kind of how it had to be with all of us too. When we toured, it was just the five band members in a van.
Hmm.
Our guitar player handled a lot of the management stuff. I handled a lot of the booking and merchandise stuff, and then we
Hmm.
had other people that did everything else. And kind of works better off that way if you're independent. That everybody's doing a little bit of something rather than burying one person with everything. But
I mean, I did that for a bit when
yeah,
we just started out, and I was like, no, man, this it can't work this way. And then we kind of divided work.
yeah. Have you guys since all the hype and everything like on YouTube and the album coming out and stuff? Have you guys been getting approached by a lot of like management firms or labels or anything like that?
Yeah, in fact, I had two calls today with, some of the people I have no business speaking to. So they're
Yeah.
so high up in the industry. I'm like, and then you got to speak to them, in a very straightforward way also.
Yeah.
So, it's very difficult when you're talking business with people, that have been, monumental for the industry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but then, it's a part of the job. It's a part of the job.
Yeah. At least people are coming to you. When I was in a band, we were just like cold calling and stuff like that. We showcased for
Yeah.
Victory Records like 4 times, and all 4 times they were like, "Nah, you guys are good, but we don't think we want you. You're not our thing." We're like, we finally just gave up and we're like, "All right, we're just gonna go independent as long as possible."
Yeah.
And the cool thing though is that nowadays,
Hmm.
if you want to go that route and be independent, like you guys have been doing,
Hmm.
it's
Sorry, I'm just turning off my phone. It's
oh,
ringing
you're fine,
constantly.
dude.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
totally cool.
All right. Yes.
You get with technology and everything that we have nowadays,
Hmm.
it's doable. You guys, if you wanted to, probably could stay independent and be very successful. Now, there are some things where having a manager or a label or something like that is definitely going to help a ton. But,
Hmm.
you know, I'm just so impressed with everything I've seen from you guys. And I told you this right before we started, but I want to talk about it because it's really cool. It's what really,
Hmm.
aside from the music, it's what made me appreciate you guys so much. My wife and
Hmm.
I last night sat down and I showed her the Rage Against the Machine documentary. And
Hmm.
at one point, she even said, she's like, I really like their music, but just seeing
Hmm.
this just makes me love them as people. And I think it's fantastic because the way that you guys made that documentary really showcases you as people and how you guys grew and where you came from. And you
Yeah.
don't see that in a lot of music and band documentaries. So, right off the start of it, showing where you guys started in the apartment and stuff like that,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had read, and I'm sure you've gotten asked about this before, but I want to kind of talk. I mean,
Hmm.
you were a lawyer, is that
Yes.
correct? So
Yes.
you went from being a lawyer to just doing the music.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I was a lawyer,
Hmm.
I was into music.
Yeah.
I was playing with bands. I was somewhat recording myself very poorly, but I was trying to manage that. But yeah, I was a corporate lawyer for 2 years because I studied law and then I got a job. I got a camp. There's this thing called a campus placement where you get a job with while you're studying, with a law firm, and then doing it 2 years. It kind of just put everything into perspective. Like this is not something I'm meant to do. you know when you're even slightly creative, when you're even marginally creative, it's just gonna eat you up if all you're doing is looking at Excel sheets all the time.
Yep.
you know so yeah, so that's where I decided to quit and jump off. So this is what my boss told me. Okay, so you've decided to jump off the plane and build another one on your way down. I said, yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
And you had to hide that. I heard you talk about it. You had to hide that from your parents for a bit too, yeah.
yeah, I had to hide it from my parents because the Indian, I'm sure you've heard the cliche of Indian parents, where if you don't score well in your exams or if you don't have a good job and stuff, they really know how to beat you down about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
I
they're very supportive now.
Yeah, I had a similar thing happen to me. I went to university
Hmm.
for about a year and then joined like my first real band and we started taking
Hmm.
off and I decided to drop out of university after a year. And it was funny
Okay.
because my parents were pretty supportive about it because my
Hmm.
dad has always known I loved music and wanted to do it. It was the rest of my family that was like, I think for the next 10 years, every time I talked to my grandparents, they'd be like, "Hey, you think about going back to school at all?" And I'm just like, dude, it's a different time.
Yeah.
You don't really necessarily need to finish school. And that's what I tell people all the time,
Yeah.
I, as much as I loved being in a band,
Hmm.
I excelled more working for other people. That's why I became a roadie. I always knew I wanted to be in music, but I loved
Hmm.
working for other people. There's something about being the person behind the scenes and making sure that all the gear is taken care of and all that. Like I loved that. And I
Yeah.
have people ask all the time. They're like, "Did you go to school for that?" And I was like, "No. It's just
Mm.
almost everything I know about guitars and gear and stuff like that is stuff that I learned on the road. And again, it's those learning experiences.
Wow.
When something goes wrong, you learn from it and you learn how to fix it and
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't happen
Yeah.
again. Man, and then also in that documentary, just watching, it was almost, there were times where like you guys seemed like just kids, man. Like, so that excitement is so great to see, man. And
Yeah,
like,
we're still kids, dude. We're still kids. I
well,
mean, ignore my graying hair and my graying beard.
oh, I've
But
got a few hidden in
yeah.
here too. It's okay, man. But you know, that's the cool thing that I was noticing when I was watching that is I was like, man, these guys, even before you played your first show, it's like these guys know exactly what to do. Whether they actually know it or they just got lucky choosing the right thing to do, you guys went about things so right from like, you know, booking like that ghost show where it was
Yeah.
unannounced and then getting the rehearsal space to
Mm,
you know get your sound. And you know it was funny when your sound engineer was saying, he's like, oh, we're getting our show files right now. For
yeah.
anybody that doesn't know that's listening, most consoles are digital now, and if
Mm,
you do pre-production, you can get your show files and save all of your settings on a USB stick. So that's what you guys were doing before you even went out. And I mean, that's what we do even on all the tours I've been on lately. You know,
yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
what was it like your first time leaving India to go do a show? Was it kind of a shock?
Oh, it was a huge shock.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Because our first show itself was a festival.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It
and
was Dong Open Air, right?
Dong, Dong Open Air,
Yeah,
yeah. The festival with the crazy name. But yeah.
yeah. I was trying to keep
Yeah.
a straight face when I was saying that. I'm not gonna lie.
You don't have to do it. Like, there were literally like, I can't tell you how many dildos I saw on that festival. They were all over the place. They were
Yeah,
all over the place. You know, it was like
yeah.
it's I don't know whether they purposely chose that name or that name means something else in German, but they're carrying it. Like they
Oh,
really
I
yeah.
don't know the answer to that either. But the funny thing is, when
Mm,
all the Germans tell me about that festival, and they're like, you need to come to Wacken and you need to come to Dong, and they always say something about Dong. They're like, yes,
yeah.
we know the name. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So it was a huge shock because I'll tell you that there are two parts to it. Okay, so in India, we've got very limited festivals. Okay, very limited music festivals, and there's one called NH7. There's one called Bangalore Open Air, and you know, I've only been to NH7 once. They have one stage sometimes for rock or metal, and I from last I heard they don't have rock or metal anymore. It's
what's
mostly
what,
just
just
go
like
ahead.
rap and Bollywood stuff?
There's a lot of rap, there's a lot of Bollywood, and something that's very unique to the Indian market. There's a lot of stand-up comedy for
Really?
some reason. Yeah, open air stand-up comedy. It doesn't make sense. I never seen anyone laugh. So yeah, yeah, it's like the worst. But I don't know. It's the Indian market is just so different, man. It's a different. It's
Yeah.
like if you think Japan is weird, the Indian market is just something else. Okay, so yeah, so I had never seen a festival that's full of metalheads. Okay, that's full of you know, people with tattoos and just all these crazy things happening all over. And we collectively were never recognized as many times by normal people walking around ever, in India than at Dong Open Air. So, in fact, there's this running joke between me and Rahul. I'm sure you saw that in the documentary that every person at that time when we were at the festival a day before, I told Rahul every person here looks like they're in a metal band because
Yeah.
almost everyone had a beard. Of course, not the ladies. Everyone was in a black t-shirt
Yeah.
and tattoos and stuff. And Rahul was the only person wearing a camo t-shirt. So I told him, you look like you're in security. And everyone else looks like they're in a band. So that was
It's
definitely a huge shock. And of course, we went with no expectations, man. We were
yeah.
like, we're used to, in the previous bands that I played, we're used to playing for 15 people,
Yeah.
10 people, sometimes 50, 100 if it's a cover show or something like that.
Hmm.
But at that time, there were, I think, 2,500 or 3,000 people
Yeah.
right there, afternoon set. And it was insane. They were shouting our name before we went on stage. They were singing our songs along with us. There was this lady waving the Indian flag, and she
I
wasn't
saw
even
that.
Indian. Yeah. So, it was shock after shock after shock. So, yeah,
Yeah.
calling it shocking is just an understatement. It was a different experience altogether.
Yeah. And then when you get through the tour and you get to Vakken, I thought that was so funny that Giant was like, yeah, just don't have any expectations. We don't know what's going to happen. And then, that curtain opens and there's 15,000 people in that
Yeah.
tent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, man.
I mean, that was my first Bloodywood experience, actually. Because when I started this YouTube channel,
Hmm.
it was kind of weird, man. I've been working in the music industry so long, but when you work in a
Hmm.
certain market or with a certain band, you kind of get secluded to those other bands and styles. So for the last 5 years, even though I'm a
Hmm.
metalhead, I've been working for a country artist in Nashville.
Right.
So I was so used to the other bands that we were touring with and what's on the radio market, and I don't
Hmm.
really like country music, to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
but YouTube for me allowed me to get back into this discovery mode with music. And
Yeah.
I've been listening to bands that have been out for a while now that I just somehow missed. And Bloodywood was the name that even early on when I started my channel, so many
Hmm.
people said it enough times that I was like, all right, I need to check out this band. And the
Yeah.
first performance I saw was
Yeah.
Mashiva
Yeah. Yeah.
Saad
Yeah.
live. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Like, first of all, I love anything that gravitates towards folk metal. So the fact that you have the
All right.
doll and you put the whistles in there and stuff, like, I love it. But the sound
Yeah.
that you guys have come up with is so unique that there's nothing that compares to it. And while it can be considered metal or folk metal or something like that, it's you can immediately hear it and be like, that's Bloodywood. There's no other band
Yeah.
that sounds like this. And I just think that is just so cool. And on top of all of that, the lyrical content and the
Hmm.
subjects that you guys tackle. I mean, even even before I watched the documentary, I've talked to people online that have said like your music has helped them out. And then you see the people in the documentary that are getting
Yeah.
tattoos of your lyrics and stuff like that, and it's like that's one of the most special parts about music for me is like, yeah, you can headbang your ass off and enjoy it, but when it's
Hmm.
something that connects with you emotionally and gives you
Yeah.
that message, man, it's special and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. It
so
can save your
cool.
life. It can
Oh,
save your life. It's as powerful
absolutely.
as that. Yeah.
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 I mean, I have one of the fascinating things about music to me. I was talking to somebody about this recently is that in certain parts of your life, if you're going through some kind of like emotional trauma or something, you can connect those emotions that you were having at that period of your life with the music that you were listening to at the time. So there are
Yeah.
CDs that I listened to when I was younger that if I hear them now, it makes me think about those moments back then, and it's so
Yeah.
wild, man.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's it's such a weird form of art. It's
yeah.
the weirdest.
I think it's
Yeah.
the best.
It is. It is.
Music
It
is
is.
just the best.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things I was interested in talking to you about, and maybe you could
Mhm.
explain it for the people that don't know too.
Mhm.
So in the studio, I saw that you usually record with an Ormsby.
Yeah.
You've got your cathode guitar that you're using a lot in videos and stuff, but live you're using the Variax, the Shuriken.
Yes.
For
Yes.
people that may not be aware of how that
Mhm.
guitar works, could you kind of explain why you use that guitar on the road?
Sure. Sure. So when people ask me about this, there's a simple answer to it.
Hmm.
If Batman had a guitar, that would be the guitar. All right.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Because some of the songs, I mean, uh, a few of the songs that we play, they change tunings mid song. Okay. it's not noticeable because we intentionally we hate it when you can notice a change of scale or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, change of key. We like to keep it seamless. I think that's the better way to do it, because it kind of takes people aback sometimes. So there are some key changes. There are parts, my parts, that if I have to play them correctly, I have to, with a traditional guitar, I would have to switch guitars in between sets. Okay. So what the Variax does is, you can program the tuning of each string, the tuning and the volume of each string, to a particular preset. So if a song goes from drop D to drop F sharp, you can do that like with a push of a button. Or in our case, it's pre-programmed through it's a MIDI signal that goes into my line 6 helix right here, which changes the tuning of the guitar the moment that part of the song comes. Okay. So that's basically it. It helps me not carry 12 guitars on tour, because I
Mm-hmm.
can't afford that right now.
Yeah.
And it's very hectic to do that, maintain those 12 guitars throughout the tour. And we're already like 6 people on tour in a van. There's not enough space for everything. So it's better
Yeah.
to go with one guitar, uh, treat it well, serve it right, and it will serve you back. I'm not very happy with the tone, by the way. You're not gonna get the
Really?
tone of no, I'm not. It's so
I think your
how the
tone is
Variax.
great.
Well, I'm glad you do, but the possible, I mean, it does really affect the tonality of your, basically your amp and your cab
Mm-hmm.
sim that I'm using. I don't get what I really want from it. I'd say probably 80%. I can get the sound that I want. I can get about 80% of it. But because it's such a there's so much technology into it. So each
Mm-hmm.
string has a sensor. Okay. I think it's called a, I don't know what pickup. It's called a piezo
The
pickup,
piezo, yeah,
piezo
yeah,
pickup.
yeah.
Right, right. So each string has a sensor, and um, it's just you have to really crank the gain to get some distortion out of the
Mm.
instrument. So when you crank the gain so much, you lose that twang, if you may.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to explain. There's a
Oh, I
part
know
of
exactly what you're saying.
right. Yeah. So if you distort something too much, you're gonna lose the inherent tonality of your
Mhm.
playing style. Okay. I like to really pluck the strings, when I'm uh, playing those riffs, because the
Mhm.
the upstroke, basically, I really focus on the upstroke. So I don't get that out of Variax. But maybe one day when we have that kind of budget, I'll probably tour
Yeah.
with a cabinet full of guitars.
Yeah, and it's a good point too. It's like a budget and a space thing because
Yeah.
when I was in my band, I had
Hmm.
two basses and one of
Hmm.
them was purely just in case the other one somehow broke. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially, with basses. And both of my guitar players in my band too each carried I think one or two guitars. And
Hmm.
it's a money thing and it's a space thing. Now,
Yeah.
the funniest part is
Hmm.
the artists that I've been working for up until the pandemic, we for the longest time were on just like classic tube amps, like analog everything, and then we went digital. We were using the Axifx 3 units, and I
Mm.
was so against it at first because all my knowledge was tube amps. That's all I knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
there was a part of me that was a little scared about having to learn something new and a new system. But once we
Mm.
started using it, I was like, digital is amazing. And especially
Yeah.
the first time we did a fly date with it,
Mm.
we went to Mexico and did a show, and I think I was set up in like 10 minutes. Like ready for a show in like 10 minutes, where
Yeah.
normally we'd have to get backline from a local company and then make sure everything was
Yeah.
working and nothing was broke. But because we had techs on the road and they had the budget, at one point when I was working for this last artist I was with,
Hmm.
22 guitars I had to work on every day. Like we had 22 guitars with us.
Holy
Like,
shit.
and that's what's interesting about differences in genres too. Like with rock and metal, on some of the bigger rock and metal tours I've been on or I've seen, you might get somebody that has 3 or 4 guitars that they change out for
Yeah.
tunings every other song. But with these country guys, they're so
Mm.
specific about in their tones. It's not even, most of the guitars were in standard E tuning. There was a couple that were in D, and that was it. It's a tone thing. All the players are so like, well, no, this song I definitely want to use this Telecaster because it's got the hot telly pickup in this, and I can run it on the mid with the gain down, and it sounds better than using
Yeah.
this guitar. And then in my head, I'm like, yeah, but we're running digital for all your tones now, so you could literally use anything. Like,
That's
so
that's what I'm thinking. Like if they're in the same tuning,
yeah.
then it's not an instrument issue. It's a rock star issue, I think.
Dude, there were many times in my head where I was like,
Yeah.
do they really need a different guitar? Or do they just want to change it out to look cool? Like, do they want to, like,
Yeah.
here's a good example of that. For a
Mm,
couple years, I worked for Pat Benatar, and her husband is her guitar player. He produces all their stuff and stuff like that. The guy
mm,
uses 2 guitars in a live show. One's in drop D, one's in E. That's all he
mm.
needs. But he has almost 30 guitars on the road because he likes to just like when they have guests, he just be like, "Look at all my stuff," and he doesn't even use it. Like there are
Oh
artists that
man.
are like that, man, that have so much stuff that they don't even use. It's like
Yeah.
when I was working at a local venue in Chicago when I was growing up, we'd have
Hmm.
like local bands come in on metal bills, and they all had like 10-piece drum kits with 15 cymbals and a rack, and it's like they didn't even use 70% of it. It's just
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah. I think that's more of a, just a prop than
yeah, for
the
sure.
but not having those 30 guitars on stage but having them backstage to impress guests,
Yeah.
that's next level. That's just, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I've heard of empty cabinets on stage to impress the audience,
Yeah.
but to impress your guests, that's just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's next level.
The empty cabinets, I think a lot of people know that that's like a normal thing now, but I've explained that on the
Yeah.
channel in some videos where we've checked out live performances. And I'm like, I guarantee you that
Mhm.
maybe that bottom right cabinet that's closest to the guitar player is on, but the other
Yeah.
12 are definitely
Yeah.
off. Like, or they're
Yeah. Yeah.
empty.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah,
empty.
and it makes perfect sense. If you've got 30 cabinets on stage, it's going to send so much sound into the vocalist's mic. It's going to
Yeah.
feedback the hell out of the whole thing. So I mean, it does make, have you ever had 30 or more cabinets working on stage? Does
Dude,
that happen?
the most I've ever heard on stage live
Hmm.
is probably 6. And even 6, like 412 cabinets at a time, that's enough that depending
That's
in the room you're
loud.
in, the front of house engineer probably doesn't even need to put that in the PA mix
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. I thought you were talking about an open air event by in
Oh,
a
no,
room.
no, no.
You're not gonna need that. Yeah.
No. Well, we've, a lot of the, back when I was working at a venue, we had stuff like that happen where we'd have opening bands bring in like full stacks, and I'd be like, try
Mm.
to explain. It's like, guys, I know this looks cool, but like you're playing in a 500 capacity club that has like a 3 meter ceiling. Like you don't need to
Yeah,
have all of these on.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's fun to always see this, man. It's like every time we start a tour and
yeah.
when you start a tour and you meet the other bands for the first time, if you don't know them, you see
Mm.
what gear they're bringing in, and almost always there's like one band that just starts bringing in shit, and we're like, come on, like you don't need that. Like, and
Yeah.
in your documentary, I loved that you like your whole show is just in that one rack. So what do you have?
Yes.
Your Helix and then like an X32 for your monitors?
So we've upgraded that completely. So what we've done is now, earlier we did not have our own mixer like the FOH mixer. Now we have one. It's called the Waves LV1 system. It's the digital mixer with the touch screen and
Hmm.
uh, all of that. It was a huge investment, but I think it's really worth it because now our engineer doesn't have to figure out a new mixer every time he's working on.
Yeah.
So we've got a mix that the same system mixes our in-ear monitors. So the same mixer will mix the front of house and our in-ear monitoring. That's done by one unit. Then we've got U track 24 to play the backing tracks and the MIDI. It's basically a 1U thing that it's a playback machine. Then we've got Sennheiser 6000 mics for 6000 series mics for the vocalists. That's new. Those are wireless because last time uh, no one was wireless except the Dole, and it was a mess. It was a mess. It was like, after the show, okay, right in the center of the stage, there used to be this weird animal of cables, okay, like all tied into each other, and we just, we played the show, and everyone's like, yeah, man, let's can we get a autograph, can we get a photo? And we're like, wait, just give me a minute, let me just untangle these cables.
Yeah.
So yeah, so wireless system for the vocalists, wireless for the bassist. I can't go wireless because there's no wireless system for the variacs. Literally it connects with a LAN cable. You use a LAN cable to connect the guitar to the
Oh, I
processor.
didn't even think
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you,
It's
yeah.
it's yeah, it's like connecting to a modem.
I never even thought about that. So there's no input jack on that, like no normal input jack on that guitar.
There is a normal input jack, but that's not going to send a process
That's
signal.
right. Yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. So that's a heavy cable. Okay, it's
Hmm.
not like no, your normal, cable that guitars use. It's very heavy, and it tends to, if it bends, it stays bent. Okay, usually. So you know how LAN cables are, right? They're not like very flexible.
Yeah.
So even though I've got a decent Line 6 cable that they sent along with the guitar, which is sort of more flexible, but there are limitations. So that's there. And then, we've got our own stage rack now. That's going to take all the inputs from the stage, send it to the mixer, and the mixer is going to send a mix signal back to our IEMs and the FOH. So we're completely independent right now in terms of requiring any backline
Have
from
you
any place at
have
all.
you had the opportunity to use all this stuff yet or no?
Oh no, it's still packed, and we're still
Yeah,
waiting
because
to start. Yeah.
not to be a downer, but I did see the European tour got postponed, and do you, I saw that it was rescheduled again for next year. The funny thing is,
Yeah.
I was actually I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm a little bummed because right
Mm-hmm.
now I was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be in Europe doing a tour, and
Oh,
that tour
okay.
got canceled.
Who
I
are you
can't
touring with?
I can't say too much because it was never
Okay.
announced as public knowledge, and it's more for filming a documentary than actually me like teching or anything.
All
Um,
right.
but I was supposed to go
Was
over to
it with
Europe.
Avril Lavigne?
Oh, I wish. Dude, I actually just told my wife the other day. I was like, "Did you see that Avril Lavigne put a new album out?" She's like, "Really? I didn't know she was still doing anything." No, but yeah,
Mhm.
so that got postponed until probably next year too. And I was just like, but it kind of worked out because like my daughter's about to turn 1 and I get to be home
Mm,
still and stuff like that. But there's other
yeah.
stuff too. It's like it's so funny how my job became being a roadie to overnight. I was just home, and then the YouTube thing
Mm,
has become pretty much my full time thing now, which is crazy. And it's like I never knew about YouTube. Like I used it, but I never
mhm,
knew like as a content creator, I didn't know how you could make money or anything like that. And don't
mhm,
get me wrong, I'm
mhm,
not making like a ton, but it's
mhm.
enough that it's actually paid our bills, so I don't need to go out and find a job right now. But
Yeah.
I do have some tours I might go back out on. Eskimo Callboy from Germany is coming to the United States at the end of this year, and I will probably
All
go guitar
right.
tech for them on that.
Amazing.
Orbit Culture is coming over here this summer for
Mm,
some stuff, and I've been talking to them about doing stuff. Like, it's funny how this is now turned into. It's like I'm gonna go out and guitar tech for bands, but it's also gonna be like YouTube content at the same time. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
And that's unique AF. I mean, I think that's why I liked watching your videos in the first place, because you were from within the industry. You're not a person who just wants to react to videos or music or
Mhm.
stuff like that. So you know a lot more than most people do,
Well,
and that's great to know.
I,
You
I
know.
and I appreciate that. I think that right there is the
Mhm.
reason, and I don't want to sound arrogant, like I say this humbly, but I think that's
Of
the
course.
reason my channel did have the success it did right away, was
Yeah.
because there's so many reactors on YouTube now. There's
Yeah.
so many. And I
Yeah.
think they all have some sort of value because they're exposing people to new bands and stuff like that.
Of
But
course.
but
Yeah.
for me personally, I
Hmm.
don't watch a lot of reactions anymore because it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's a lot of people that just sit and watch a whole song and then they're like, "Yeah, that was cool," and that's really it.
Hmm.
And that was the thing I felt was going to set me apart. It's like, let's just take my knowledge from working on gear and touring and actually talk about it in the videos. And it's fun, and I love getting to see what other people are using with stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun for me to look into production. Like, with your last video, I
Hmm.
went right away. I was on Google, like, where did they shoot this? And it says in the information on your video where you filmed, but I went to that
Oh.
I went to their website. I looked at all
Hmm.
the rooms they had in there. There's a recording studio
Yeah.
in there, all this stuff, cuz like
Yeah.
that's the little things that I like to find out about. Like, how did they do this? Like, the other day I checked out
Yeah.
Sabaton's new music video, and in
Hmm.
the entire video they're submerged up to here in water, and they have their guitars and everything on. So the first question in my mind is, okay,
Hmm.
this is obviously not just green screen. They're in water.
Yeah.
You can see it. So
Yeah.
were they just willing to destroy gear? Because if you're using a guitar that's even a hardwood guitar at that point submerged in water, you're damaging it.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
did they decide to damage all their gear? Did they have replicas made? Did they have people
Mm.
on standby that were with hair dryers and wiping it off? And it's like, those are the things I want to know about these videos, man. Because, like,
Yeah.
I find the
Yeah. But
process
did
very
you find
interesting.
out though?
I
Did you
didn't
find
find out
out?
yet. No,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I had Hannes on this podcast like 2 days before that video came out, and I was like, damn it, I wish I would have saw
Oh, all
that first. But
right.
I would like to know, because there are a lot of music
Yeah.
videos that I see where there are some kind of elements, whether it's water or, they're filming outdoors or something like that. My first thought is like the instruments. I'm like,
Yeah.
the things that musicians sometimes put their actual instruments through for those music videos, like, people don't realize, like, they're risking damaging that entire instrument.
For sure. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah. That, and uh, the same thing happens with us. That's why you see me holding the same guitar with every video, because the climate here changes like really, really soon. Okay, so it could rain. In fact, for the video of Gadar, it started raining while we were shooting.
oh,
For the video of Yad, a hailstorm it started snowing while we were shooting. So these things just happen all the time. So I think it's good to have one guitar just for music videos,
yeah.
that way, because there's a lot of value to music videos, a lot of
Oh,
value.
yeah.
No disrespect to the instrument, but it's just that you need something for so that can withstand those things, and not be completely, it won't break your bank completely. You get me?
Yeah. And a lot of
Yeah.
the value in music videos too is, it's not only just, there's so many little things into it. It's not
Hmm.
just to get the music out there for people, but
Hmm.
music videos are also something that, like, brands require for endorsements. So it's a way for
Yeah.
bands to fulfill those contracts with endorsements and stuff too. That's why
Yeah.
you can tell a lot of the times when we watch certain videos on YouTube, if you ever
Hmm.
see a close up of like a headstock that shows the logo of something or something, like, I can tell immediately, I'm like, that's a product placement. There's no reason that they needed to show the headstock of that guitar other than to show you like the LTD logo that was on it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, if so, there's a really surprising study, if you may, that I kind of did on my own. So the song Machi Basar, okay,
Hmm.
um, it is our most popular original, I believe, till date. Okay, uh, but before the music video was out, a year in advance, the audio was out already. Okay, it was on a platform called hitrecord.com. We had posted about it, that here's a new song, check it out. No one cared. Absolutely no one cared. But the moment we put out a video, with the same music, literally nothing changed. It just exploded. It exploded like crazy. And that was right before we went on tour. And it's just the only difference between these two things is a video. So if it's a video that makes a song a hit, why not do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Do
so
you think
it's
it's
just insanely important. Yeah.
do you think it could also be a platform thing too though? Cuz there's a lot of people on YouTube that stumble across random things a lot. I mean,
That's true.
but
That is true.
the video is a good point because
Hmm.
I mean, actually it's a great point because I'll tell you right now, when I do reaction videos on YouTube, I
Hmm.
don't I don't do a reaction if it's audio only because
Yeah.
and it's nothing against the band or the song, it's for what I'm doing. I'll have nothing to talk about. I need the visual
Yeah.
aid with the instruments and the production to be able to talk about stuff. So it is a good point. People like to see things,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
There's actually an inherent importance you give to a music video over just an audio video. You know,
Mhm.
you feel that the band has put more effort into a music video, so we're going to watch the music video. And if there's just a video of the artwork, and there's no video at all, that song kind of, people would tend to not listen to that if they're exposed to the band for the first time.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
with the way that the excuse me, with the way that the music industry is right now, you're seeing more music video releases than ever. Um, Before you were seeing maybe one or two music videos from a band for an album cycle that were releasing something. Even radio
yeah.
singles sometimes weren't getting music videos. But
Mhm.
now, with everybody on their computers and on YouTube's, and everybody's got a phone they can be on at all times, I mean,
Yeah.
we've already seen multiple, like Arch Enemy, good example. Their new album doesn't
Mhm.
come out until July, and it's
Mhm.
March right now, and they've already released 3 music videos from that album.
Yeah.
So we're seeing just bands cranking out videos. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking, I have like a little schedule on my computer of reactions that I want to do. And I'm
Mhm.
looking and I have some bands on here twice because they just released a video 2 weeks ago and they're about to
Yeah.
release another one in like another week. Like
Mm.
that's wild.
That is.
So
That is.
and
Yeah.
it's
That.
time consuming too. When you guys were talking about, I can't remember what video it was that you were talking about in the documentary, but you said you guys started at like 7 in the morning and went 5:30 in the afternoon and just went, and a lot of the stuff was unplanned. Like when you were on, what
Yes.
was it when you
Yes.
were riding the
Yes.
camel?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the video for Ari Ari.
yeah,
Yeah. That day was magic, man. Like that, we planned nothing. We were like, get the camera, get the guitar, let's just hit the streets. And the number of things that happened that day was just like, it was meant to be.
yeah, yeah.
In a way. Yeah. Things just they fell into place. It's never happened again.
I mean,
So yeah.
there is something special about not planning something. I mean, when
Yes.
I like with this right here, I don't whenever
Hmm.
I do interviews or podcasts with people, I don't plan anything.
Hmm.
I have no
Yeah.
questions or anything written out. I feel as though when you don't plan for something like that,
Hmm.
things may go wrong, but it's more authentic. Like the
Yeah.
things that happen are unplanned, so they're real and authentic, and you never know what kind of special moments you're going to be able to capture, which in
Hmm.
your guys' case,
Yeah.
nothing on that was planned. Like when they were
Yeah.
laughing, telling the story about jumping on the horse, and then we were just like, we just happened to see a camel in the middle of New Delhi. like those are amazing stories.
Yeah. 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 Those are, and although it's very normal to see camels in the middle of New
Yeah,
Delhi, we were looking at it from um, a person, an outside perspective. Okay, that people are probably not going to believe this, that there are camels on the middle of the road. There are elephants too. There are cows also. So it's
in
it's
New
not
Delhi.
uncommon. Yes, it's not uncommon.
Okay.
It's not uncommon, man. You just, I mean, yeah, maybe that's kind of decreased over the years, but it's pretty common, honestly.
I will admit I thought that that was just one of those stereotypes in like major cities in India that like there's like camels and elephants and stuff. I thought that that was just a stereotype.
So they're not like around every corner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, they like um okay, at any given point of time, all right, I'd wager there are at least three elephants in the streets of New Delhi. Okay.
So wait, are they wild or are they
No, no, no.
okay?
They're not wild, man. That would make the news.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, they're not wild. They're tame. Um, they usually either headed towards some sort of um, ceremony, some wedding, or some temple. I support none of that, but
Hmm.
that's how it is, man. That's how the culture is over here.
Yeah.
It's very you'd worship animals, yeah. You worship animals, but when it comes to treating them, they're the most ill-treated animals ever. Like so they very recently last year, um, I there's this NGO called Wildlife SOS in India. What they do is they rescue these elephants from um, all of these temples and all of these places of worship or circuses, and almost all the time those elephants are completely blind, almost all of the time. I don't know why that's the case, but that's the state of affairs here, man.
Yeah.
It is sad. Sorry to take a dark turn
No,
towards
this
this,
is
but
no, these are
yeah,
I actually I like when conversations go this route where we can talk about something serious like this because
yeah,
you know, in American culture,
hmm,
we're very used to you don't see many of them anymore, but when I was a
hmm,
kid, circuses
hmm,
were huge. I mean,
yeah,
huge form of entertainment. And
yeah,
then when you're a kid, you don't know any better. You see these animals performing and you're just like, "Oh,
yeah,
this,
yeah,
look at the animal. This is cool." And then when
yeah,
you start getting older and you start realizing how things work and you start reading things and seeing documentaries and you're just like, "This is like barbaric."
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
to the point where my wife and I are not so much anymore because we have the kid at home and we just don't have time. But like, we used to volunteer at animal rescues and stuff like that. And,
nice.
both of our dogs that we have are foster failures. Like we were fostering dogs and then we just fell in love with them and
Hmm.
we're like, yep, they're going to come live with us now. Which is great, man. I mean,
Yeah,
there's just, it's such a special thing, man. I mean, they're part of our family. To us, they're not really pets. They're part of our family.
that's true.
But there have been times where like this is weird. I've never talked to anybody about other than my wife about this, but like I've
Mm.
been in this phase for a while now where it's like I haven't eaten pork in so long because when I
Mm.
was on I forgot where I was, but I came across a video online that was
Hmm.
showing the state of like meat manufacturing in the US.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
after
yeah.
watching that, I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like
Mm.
it's difficult.
Yeah,
It's you
yeah,
hear like you said, you hear so many people that talk about how much they like animals and how much we need to take care of them and stuff like that. Then you look behind the scenes and everything's like again,
yeah,
barbaric is like the word for it. And
yeah, yeah.
but one of the things to kind of change this from a more positive is
Yeah.
after you guys finished your European tour, one of the things
Hmm.
this told me like all I needed to know about you guys was when you
Hmm.
donated your proceeds to the mobile animal shelter in New Delhi.
Yeah,
Dude, that
yeah.
was I want to know more. I want to know more about that because I heard what you had said when you guys visited Europe. One of the things you were most shocked about is not seeing as many homeless and stray animals.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That was definitely a shock because here it's so normal to see a homeless dog, or we call them stray dogs,
mhm.
stray cats. Okay. They're so normal that you don't even think about it. If I could take this camera with me, I'd show you. Like, all I need to do is step out of my uh, building, and they'll be right outside, just chilling. So it did shock us that there are just none. They don't exist at all. I mean, they used to, but um, I think they've taken care of the problem. It definitely is a problem when there are animals on the street because they don't belong there. They either belong in the wild, or if they're domesticated, they belong in homes, right? They can't survive on streets. They can't survive traffic and hunting for food, and then you know a lot of stuff happens, cannibalism and all of that stuff if they
Mhm.
don't get food on time. So that's why when we came back, we thought that, yeah, this is something we should definitely try to at least do a bit. I'm not saying that we're going to create a lot of awareness and suddenly things are going to change, but we
Mhm.
can do a bit. So what we did was, I knew of this foundation called the Posh Foundation, which is pretty close by. What they do is they help all of these basic, if there's an animal that's injured because of traffic, or some other reason, they do this on their own. They send their own vehicle to pick the animal up, and then they treat the animal, and then they neuter the animal, so that this problem of, this multiplication of uh, homeless animals doesn't happen, and then they drop the animal back to where it was found. Okay. So we spoke to them, we asked them, what do you need? Okay. And they said that our ambulance is completely run down. It's barely functional, we need a new one. And we were like, okay, cool. How much is it going to cost? And it wasn't honestly a lot. Okay. So what we did was, we'd just come back from tour, we made a bunch of money that we could put into this, and that's what we decided to do. It was really, really very straightforward, very simple. And I hope it's helped a lot of those animals that we see on the road every day.
Yeah, I'm sure it
So
has.
yeah. That's really it. There's not much to the story.
Yeah, no, but it's there might not be much to the story, but I think it's still something cool that people not only need to hear but would like to hear, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah.
cuz especially in a music culture where a lot of people when they make money for the first time go out and just buy a bunch of ridiculous shit. Like, you guys are helping your community as much as you can and stuff like that, and it's great. And don't get me wrong, I realize what I just said might sound judgmental, and it's not, because there are definitely expenses that are necessary for a band. Like you just said, you
Yeah.
guys got a lot
Yeah.
of new gear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's very expensive, man.
yeah.
And in
Oh,
India, we pay three times the price that people pay in the West for the same instrument or the same product.
well, I was gonna
It,
ask you about that because again in the documentary when you guys went into that music store, you guys were
yeah.
like blown away because you're like, there's you. I think it was you that said there's nothing like this in India.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
kind of, if you were to go to a music shop, what
Hmm.
kind of selection do you have? Is it very limited with brands and the stuff that you can get?
So, okay, because the Indian market is very different, the things that you get, the guitars that you get, the basses that you get, okay, they're almost always those starter pack instruments. Okay.
Hmm.
You're gonna have a very hard time finding quality. And if you're looking for something very specific, for example, I want a precision drive, or a Horizon Devices precision drive pedal. You're not going to get that. You'll
Hmm.
have to place an order with one of the distributors to send it to India. And then you're going to pay customs, you're going to pay shipping. And Indian customs is just, I have a horrible relationship with them.
Yeah.
so, so yeah, so even my Variax, it came from Sweetwater, US. And the funny story is, um, so if something that you're importing costs more than 100,000 rupees, okay, if it costs more than that, then you need to go through a process where the airport authorities will hire a truck to send what you have to your house. Okay. So an entire truck brought one guitar to me from the airport to my
No
house, and I had to pay for
way.
it. Yeah.
Oh
It's
man.
it's a circus, dude. It's just,
Dude.
it's
I feel
hilarious.
like God, I feel like I just like hearing that makes me feel like, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of what I'm trying to say, but I feel like spoiled now. It's like any instrument that I would want to get, I could
Mm-hmm.
probably either A, go to, and I live in Nashville, so not only do we
Mm-hmm.
have hundreds of guitar stores and a guitar center, but we've also got
Mm-hmm.
a place. We've got a place in Nashville called Soundcheck, which is exactly
Mm-hmm.
what it sounds like. It's a giant warehouse that's storage for all the bands here, and then there's giant rehearsal rooms, and then they also have a store called Tour Supply,
Wow.
where anything you would ever need for a tour is in that
Mm-hmm.
store. So it's your typical stuff like gaff tape and batteries and but like flashlights and
Mm-hmm.
tons of different guitar pedals and strings and all that stuff. It just really makes me think like, man, we've got it easy. And it's true cuz I mean in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these major countries also it's so there's so much consumerism that people want you to have access to those things as quick as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
I mean, I wish we had that kind of access, and it's not a bad thing to have access to things,
yeah.
right? So, from what you said, it reminds me of this thing my friend told me once, that India will always leave you with a sense of gratefulness towards your own country.
Mhm.
You hear anything from here, and people are like, "Wow, I'm glad that shit doesn't happen here." So,
to
yeah.
be to be 100% honest, I
Hmm.
have like the opposite sometimes when I travel. The first time I
Yeah.
ever did a world tour and
Hmm.
experienced like a lot of other countries, it was the first time I'd gone to Asia, and we
Hmm.
showed up and did a show we had a show in Manila in the Philippines. And I
Okay.
remember when we landed at the airport, looking out the window and just seeing how just everything looked like shacks and stuff like that. And then like
Hmm.
they take us from the airport to the hotel, and as we're driving through the city, it's the first time I
Hmm.
had ever seen like what could be considered like third world, like with my
Yeah.
own eyes. I was like, wow, this is a big wake up seeing this.
Yeah.
And then where the promoter put us to stay in Manila
Yeah.
was this area called the City of Dreams that is an American development that's the Mall of
Hmm.
Asia, a bunch of casinos, and a bunch of like five-star hotels. And
Yeah.
we get in our hotel room and look out of the hotel window, and you just still see like shacks and stuff. And there was
Yeah.
it's the first time in my life in my head I was like, there's something fucked about this. Like
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
we travel to other countries I really realized as an American how spoiled and easy I've really had it, to be honest. It's like everything I could ever want has been easily accessible. So like that's why I enjoy these conversations with people from all over the world, and having this YouTube channel and getting to know people from other cultures and stuff like that has been just the greatest thing. Because one of the things that I honestly hate about the American mindset is that most people in
Hmm.
this country have never left. They've
Mm.
never actually experienced another culture. They see it on
Hmm.
TV and in movies, but most of that's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
But they've
Yeah. Yeah.
never actually experienced it. Like a good anecdote to this is I dated a girl in my early 20s
Hmm.
who her dad worked for some security company, and she lived
Hmm.
in India for 2 years. And
Oh,
when she was
okay.
showing me pictures of like
Hmm.
India and like where they stayed and stuff like that,
Hmm.
I was like, that ain't India. That's an Americanized resort and development that you got to stay at and have all the same amenities that you get over here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't live how everybody else did. And I wasn't judging her for it. It's just like that's what
Yeah.
it is, you know?
Yeah. 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 So the division is really there. Okay. Like if you want an American lifestyle, you can get it here too. Okay. It's not like there's just one particular lifestyle. But
Mm-hmm.
what I want to point out is I don't think America has it easy. Okay. I
No.
don't think you can completely discount how hard life is there because, and even though I've not been to America, but if I think of Europe or the UK, the West in general, when we went there, we we did feel that we want to come back home soon, because not because people were mean. Okay, people were amazing to us, but we're just used to talking to everyone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just used to talking like really loud, and all the time. Okay, in fact, there's such a funny story about this. The moment we landed at in Germany, okay, in Dusseldorf. So the festival were kind enough to set us up at a hotel because they knew that it's our first time outside India and stuff like that. So at the hotel, we were all so excited. We were like, it's 9 o'clock and the sun is still out. I've never seen that in my life. So we were like, let's drink. And the beer was like the cans were this big. Okay. The cameras they were huge. Okay. And the brand was called Faxe. Faxe. So we got those cans, and then we were right in the lobby area of a hotel, the open area, and we were drinking and being loud. And then suddenly a voice, there's this huge booming voice that says, "Guys, you are fucking loud. Shut the fuck up." And we were like, sorry, but we couldn't find out where the voice was coming from. So then after that, we were like, just, okay, maybe this is the volume we need to speak in. And it happened several times that people reminded us that you're in a public place, don't be so loud. Yeah. So it's there's a trade-off to everything. Yeah, you've got access and all of that. We don't have access to stuff here. That is true. A lot of even basic human rights are sometimes hard to find, the basic human needs. Okay, but then I think in Western culture there is a sort of isolation. There's a sort of distance, which I personally like, but not everyone does. Mm-hmm. So I think it's with every culture there's a plus and negative.
Yeah, I want to kind of.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. What you were saying just made me want to rephrase something, because when you said you don't think that Americans necessarily have it easy and stuff. Mm-hmm. Without getting too into this topic, I'll rephrase it by saying, as a straight white male in the U.S., I feel like I've had it easy. I talk about this stuff with my wife a lot. Like we have a lot of friends in the LGBTQ community. We have a lot of friends that are minorities and stuff like that. And hearing some of the stories from them about dude, one of my best friends who was a groomsman in my wedding, grew up in Compton in Los Angeles, and he moved to Nashville, and he was my roommate, and I would go on tour all the time. And he didn't tour, he lived there. And when I would come back, we'd always hang out. And he told me one time that when I was on tour, he never really went out. And I was like, really? And he's like, well, yeah, dude. He goes, when I go out with you, he's like, you're my white friend and I don't have to worry about anything. But he's like, as a black guy, I don't really go anywhere by myself to bars and stuff. And I was like, damn, dude. And I was kind of wondering about you guys in your travels with that, because people mistakenly think that racism is an American thing, but it's everywhere. I've gone to so many different countries and you see it everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I was really hoping, and if you don't want to talk about it, it's cool, but I was really hoping when I was watching your documentary, your first time leaving India, you guys didn't have to face or experience anything like that. Was your travel pretty good when you were in Europe?
We did face incidents of racism, and I can elaborate on that. I don't think there's any reason to hide what happened. So there was this one particular incident where, I don't know whether it's in the documentary or not, but the drummer Vishesh and we actually fell sick after doing open air. Okay, we got bronchitis and I don't know, some very severe form of it. So we were in Germany. We don't know the language. I'm trying to learn it. So thankfully our TM at that point of time, who was also driving us around, Adrian, he knew some German. He took us to a hospital and they diagnosed us for whatever bronchitis is called in German. So gave us medicines and sent us back. Now Adrian parked the vehicle. We were crossing the road towards our hotel, and then this guy on a bicycle, okay, he just zooms past us and says, "Fucking Muslims." Okay. This is in Germany and he has a German accent. Okay, so I know it's not an American thing. It's everywhere, dude. It's everywhere. And it's in India also. Okay, there's no like there's this. It's just so prevalent that if anyone tells you they haven't felt it, they're lying or they're hiding something.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is just one of the many incidents that happened. Okay, another that happened was after our first club show. Um, this this guy with the sweetest of intentions said, "You're the coolest fucking Pakis I've ever seen." Okay,
Oh man.
so I was like, "Bro, we're Indians," and that's kind of not a nice term to use for someone who's from, even if that person is from Pakistan.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean, man. You're the coolest fucking Pakis I've ever seen." I'm like,
I mean, that's
"Okay,
like the
dude."
same
Like,
here when somebody's like, "Oh, that guy's all right for a black guy." It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, it's, dude,
yeah,
there, like you said, there are people that they do, their
Mhm.
intentions aren't bad,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. They
they
aren't.
don't realize that they are
Yeah.
like I said, like I've heard people like, dude, I worked in country music for 5 years. You want to talk
Hmm.
about a racist group of fucking people, dude? This is going to sound crazy. I'm so glad that we got
Hmm.
sent home from tour because of the pandemic, because it
Hmm.
gave me an out to get away from that industry. It's not
Ugh.
everybody. I'm not going
Hmm.
to, that would be unfair to say that it's everybody.
Yeah.
There's some wonderful people. But dude, when
Hmm.
you've got crew guys
Hmm.
that are hanging Confederate flags in their
Hmm.
guitar vaults, and like I've heard
Hmm.
multi-platinum, gigantic, larger than life artists saying the N-word backstage all the time. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
it got uncomfortable for me. It was like, I don't even want to be
Yeah.
around this anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have, the country music industry overall is very white, for a lack of a better way of putting it.
Right.
There are a few friends I have, the few black friends that are touring in country, that I've talked to them about this, and I've asked,
Hmm.
like, dude, how is it for you working in the country music industry? They're like, it fucking sucks, but the money's good. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
So, well, I'm
It's just
sorry. I'm
surprising
sorry you
how
guys have, what's that?
no, no, no. I said it's kind of surprising how, these guys are so confident about behaving in this particular way.
Hmm.
All it takes is one guy with a phone and, with a video recording something, and that person's career is over,
Dude,
you know?
that won't
Yeah.
stop it. So there's a country artist here named
Hmm.
Morgan Whalen. He was on The Voice in the United States, and he got kind of
Hmm.
popular, and then overnight it was so weird, because the first time he ever did a tour with us, he had like
Hmm.
long hair, and he always wore like a leather jacket and black jeans. He looked more like a rock dude. And then
Okay.
overnight, he cut his hair into a mullet, and he started wearing cut off flannel like shirts and stuff, and acting like a hillbilly. And this guy about 6 months ago
Hmm.
got caught on somebody's Ring doorbell camera,
Hmm.
drunk after coming home from the bar, screaming the N word at like his neighbor or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, he's done. The
Hmm.
exact opposite happened. He's bigger now, and his record sales went through the roof after that happened. And he just got
All
done
right.
selling out two shows back to back at the Madison Square Garden in New York City. That's like 18,000 people each night. This is after
Hmm.
he was on tape saying the N word.
He actually got bigger after that.
Way bigger. Dude,
After that incident,
after
not
that
the
incident.
voice.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. And
That
like,
that is insane.
and
Yeah.
he did the whole jumping through hoops and apologizing, and he's like, I
Mhm.
never would have said that, and blah blah. I don't use
Mhm.
that word. And in my head, and listen, I don't know the guy. I got to say
Mhm.
that, but I've toured with him and I've been around him.
Mhm.
But in my opinion, if he says it then, what makes you
Mhm.
think he's not saying it all the time in other situations? And I've been around these
Right.
country artists. I hear how they're talking. So the
Yeah.
crazy thing to me was that, yes, everybody in the music industry was like, he's done. There's no way that he's coming back from that. He
Mhm.
apologized. All the country music fans in the US got behind him, and they're like, he said he's sorry. He's not racist. Like, and then they went out and bought his
Okay.
records, and now he's huge.
Hmm.
It's crazy.
Do you think do you think it's a country thing and it wouldn't happen if it was metal or rock?
I do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
again, working in the country music industry,
Mm-hmm.
I've gone to all these shows and all these festivals over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and I see
Mm-hmm.
the kinds of people that are at these shows that listen to country music. And again,
Mm-hmm.
it's unfair to say it's all of them because there are some
Mm-hmm.
great people I've met,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of like dude, when and I don't want to get into this cuz I don't even want to mention the guy's name, but when Trump was running for president here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we were doing country festivals and the
Mm-hmm.
entire crowd, like 50, 60,000 people at times, you see Trump flags being waved everywhere. You see Confederate flags being waved everywhere. I mean, you see
Mm-hmm.
how when the Black Lives Matter movement started in the US, those
Yeah.
are the people that were like, arguing it and be like,
Mm.
it's crazy, dude. Like it really is. We're granted this country changes fast over short periods of time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm only 34 and things are so much different now than they were 10 years ago,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
we're in a weird place right now. Like
That is true. The
it
weirdest place ever.
yeah, it seems like people that are bigoted and racist and stuff like that are more
Mm-hmm.
vocal now than they've ever been. So we see it all the
Hmm.
time. And it's
Maybe we
like
have access to those voices more,
I think
you
that's
know?
part of it. I think,
Yeah.
when I was a teenager, we didn't have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. So you didn't see it
Yeah.
online. And if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
surround yourself with those kind of people, you didn't hear it. But now that
Right.
we're on social media and we see all of this stuff, we
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus,
It's
the algorithm always pushes some to you something that would trigger you,
mhm.
because they want that reaction, they want that argument, they want that, you know, time on their app or their platform or whatever.
Yeah.
So it is kind of made into this way. But it is, again, it's very interesting that a particular political alignment coincides with a genre of music.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's more interesting than anything else, to be honest, because I know nothing about country music. i
Mhm.
i know no country music art. I know Taylor Swift was probably country for a bit.
Yeah, when she first started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
it's very strange. Yeah.
so let me give you a good example of country music in the US.
Hmm.
I told because a lot of country is popular outside of the US.
Hmm.
It's very popular in Canada. It's very
Okay.
popular in Australia, and it's kind of popular in some parts of Europe too. Like I've
Hmm.
gone to Europe with country artists and done huge shows.
Wow.
But
Okay.
the scene is a little different. But in the US,
Hmm.
I was explaining to the people that follow me on Twitch the other day because they were asking about music and how popular rock and metal is. Because rock and metal in the U.S. right now compared to Europe is very small.
Is that so?
Oh,
Really?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
metal and rock in
Hmm.
the U.S. is very much what I would consider. I wouldn't necessarily say it's underground, but it's
Hmm.
it's not a big mainstream thing anymore. So here's the numbers that'll blow your mind.
Hmm.
Right now, I looked at this yesterday, so I know these numbers are still accurate.
Hmm.
Right now, on radio in the U.S., the big rock chart is the Billboard Active Rock Chart. That's where all the radio
Hmm.
singles are. The
Hmm.
number one song in rock radio has an
Hmm.
average audience impression of 3.5 million listeners per week. So for anybody that doesn't know what that means, that's 3.5 million people listening to their radio on that channel hear that song every week.
Okay.
The number 40 song on country radio has
Hmm.
more plays than that. Like the number one song on country radio right now in the
Yeah.
US has
Yeah.
60 million listeners per month. So 20 times more like spins
Mm.
than rock. That's what's popular
Okay.
in the US. It's country
Hmm.
and top 40, which is pop and hip hop.
Okay. Well, pop and hip hop, I think they've always been like this, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
But
have you seen like country take over rock?
I mean, country's always been a thing, Like in the 90s, it was super popular.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of big country artists started coming out in the 80s. And country's different now, too. When it was back in the day, when it was like 70s, 80s, 90s,
Mm-hmm.
it was a different sound. What a lot of people say is traditional country now.
Yeah.
The country that's on the radio now is
Mm-hmm.
very pop influenced. There's 808 beats and like snap and clap samples and a lot of auto tune.
Mm-hmm.
It's very influenced by hip hop. You can hear it in the delivery of vocal melodies.
I see.
And I find that so fascinating because a lot of country fans claim to
Mm-hmm.
hate rap and hip hop, yet all of their favorite artists are that's what they're listening to. Like when we
Mm.
toured, we did a huge tour like 3 or 4 years ago with the artist I
Mm-hmm.
was working for. We opened for this guy named Luke Bryan, who's arguably one of the biggest country artists in the US. We were doing
Mm-hmm.
stadiums, football stadiums, like 60,000 people at times, just for a show. It wasn't a festival, it was just a show. Between changeovers in the bands, they're
Mm-hmm.
playing hip hop to the crowd. So it's like, yeah, it's
That makes
like
no sense. Yeah.
I know, and to them, it's they're trying to set
Mm-hmm.
like this party vibe for everybody to get into it. So it's so funny to me that a lot of these country fans say that they hate rap and hip hop and all that stuff, yet
Mm.
they'll listen to it when they're at a show. A lot of these country artists, when they do covers or
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, they'll cover like a hip hop song in their set, but they'll turn it into a country song. Like I can't tell you how
Mm.
many times I've heard, you know, country artists cover big popular hip hop songs. And it's just it's so weird to me. But yeah, like country has totally overtaken rock and roll for sure. You've still got your
Mm-hmm.
staple classic rock bands like, you know, the Rolling Stones are still selling out stadiums, no
Yeah.
problem, stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. But in
Yeah.
terms of like, you know, the more modern bands that like probably you and I are familiar with when we were growing up, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Papa Roach is still touring, Seven Dust is
Mm-hmm.
still touring. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're playing clubs. They're playing
Yeah.
clubs when there are country artists that in their careers are smaller than them playing bigger shows
Mm.
because country's more
Mm.
popular.
I see.
It's
That's something I didn't know.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys haven't toured in North America yet, right?
Excuse me. No, we haven't, but we will this year.
Yes. One. I don't know if it's announced or if it's something you can say, but when are you coming over here?
It's not announced, but we let me just quickly check the dates. Uh,
Actually, while you're checking,
and
this is actually funny enough. One of
uh-huh.
my really good friends is a talent buyer for Live Nation, and I was talking to
Ah,
him the other day, and
right.
I brought you guys up, and
Okay.
because he was asking about another band, and I was like, dude,
Uh-huh.
have you heard Bloodywood's album yet? And he actually told me
Uh-huh.
he has a hold on booking you guys right now. So so
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That is true. Yeah.
for listeners, a hold doesn't mean that the show has been booked or anything's confirmed. It just means he has an offer in on trying to get Bloodywood to play somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, in fact, we just got our dates yesterday. Possible dates.
Yeah.
Almost every date is on hold right now. So, we'll probably come down in the end of September till the mid of October.
Okay.
Just a probability, you know. It still depends on a lot of things, a lot of things. Most importantly, our visas, which
Yeah.
are insanely hard to get
Dude,
for the US.
that okay. This is probably going to frustrate you, but I've heard that from other people.
Mhm.
For us as Americans to go work somewhere else is like virtually no problem.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like
Mm.
I worked for a Canadian band. I was the only American
Mhm.
on the crew. And
Mhm.
they asked, they're like, how do you never have problem? Like when they found out that I didn't have to get a visa to go to Canada, they were like, wait, you just came in? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
dude, we have to get visas and everything just to come in from Canada. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. 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 That's the way the world works, man. It's
Yeah.
and you see that a lot. I mean, the you see that the most at European airports. Okay, um, it's. I mean, I'm not complaining here, but it's so apparent when you have to, you know, check in for your you're trying to board your flight on time. Okay, and there are two people that are catering to about 100 people waiting in line, and there are four people that are catering to maybe two guys waiting in line, because there's a separate section for American slash EU citizens, and there's a separate section for rest of the world. So it's, it's just so apparent over there that there is an advantage and there is a
Mhm.
disadvantage to things. But that's how the world is. And even though we did spend a lot of time waiting in those lines, it was we've met the most amazing people, just
Yeah.
just waiting in those lines, and from all over the place, besides this area, collectively cursing our you know our,
Yeah.
our luck. So it's funny, it's generally more fun than frustrating.
Yeah. Well, if you guys, if those tours, if those dates get confirmed,
Mm-hmm.
let me know if you need a tour manager or something. I'll
I
come.
was going to talk to you about it.
I'll come work for you guys. Seriously, one of the craziest things about
Amazing.
this YouTube thing is,
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Hannes about this on the last podcast, but I was telling him in my career of being a roadie and
Mm-hmm.
working for bands, I've never really had the luxury of like choosing the bands I want to work with in the sense of like I've never really gotten a tour with a band that at the time I was like really into. It's just something that was
Mm-hmm.
presented to me, and that's like when I first started working for this country artist, like I'd never heard of him ever. And I was just like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I'll take it. But now that I've started meeting all these bands on YouTube and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's starting to become like kind of a thing. Like I've had bands that are like, yeah, we know you're not really touring right now because you just had a kid and stuff, but if we come over there, would you come out with us? Like for example, the Eskimo Callboy thing and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
starting to become kind of a thing where it's like, yeah, I might leave the house for a few times a year and go work with these bands that I actually like. And
Yeah.
in the case of like you guys, I'll tell you right now, I'm not even really worried about getting paid. It's just like bring me out there, let's shoot some YouTube content and have a good time, you know?
We can always discuss that,
Yeah.
because we are looking for someone to, so I'll be honest with you, because it's our first tour in the US, and how it works in the rock and metal world. I don't know about the rest of the genres, that the first time you tour, you don't get paid a lot.
No.
That's your proving ground kind of situation. So we're pretty sure we're going to sell out everything, because
Yeah.
we know everyone's been dying for uh, you know an appearance in the US. So we're very confident about that. But uh, we can always talk about how to manage that
Yeah.
in terms of time and money and all of that stuff. I'm
Yeah.
sure we can work something out.
That
I
would
don't
be
want to. I mean, again, the one thing that we've never done is have anyone ever work for us for free. Never.
yeah.
So that's not. Please don't feel
Oh,
that I'm gonna throw in that kind of a
oh, I'm not
curveball at you, that we're not
yeah,
gonna make
just
any
to
money. So why should
clarify.
you make any money? No,
Yeah, just to
that's not the
clarify, I'm
case.
not offering to work for free. I'm just saying I don't need to get paid a ton. Like
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of the funniest conversations I had when I was talking to Eskimo Callboy's manager,
Mm-hmm.
he was like, he's like, yeah, so we want you to come out and guitar tech. What's your normal day rate? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's kind of hard to calculate that because country is really interesting where they don't
Your
do day
country day
rates.
rate is different.
Well,
Yeah.
and they pay yearly salaries. So like
Oh, I
I was
see.
so no matter how many shows we did a year, I was
Mm-hmm.
still getting paid the same every week. So I told the
Oh.
Eskimo Callboys manager that, and he was like, "Okay, we'll divide it by whatever, how many shows you think we're gonna do." And I was like, "All right." So I did the math, and I was like, "Okay, this is what my day rate would be." And he's like, "We absolutely cannot afford that." And I was like, "I know. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to like make a ton of money off you guys. My point here is
Yeah.
that like." You know, with in situations like this, especially with the connection from YouTube to them and you guys and stuff like that, it's like pay me what you feel is appropriate and you can. and let me shoot some YouTube content out there traveling with you guys. And
Yeah.
it's going to be fun for everybody. And then everybody that watches gets to see it. And like, I'm more in it for the experience and the good time at this point than I am for trying to make money. Because like I said, the YouTube thing
Hmm.
has allowed me to pay our bills and take care of our
Yeah.
family, not
Yeah.
making a ton extra, but I have no
Hmm.
complaints in that department at all. So if I go back out on the road at this point, it's
Hmm.
gonna be for the experience and the good time more so than the financial benefit from it. And
For
like,
sure. And you know, I think what you have is unprecedented. It's not been done before. It's just hats off, man. You've made your own path.
oh, thank
I've
you.
never heard of a roadie ever saying that they got to choose which band to work with.
Yeah.
They get to choose, which tour they want to go on or which they don't want to go on. And just it's I mean, and I'm not saying that you got lucky or anything, man. It's
Yeah.
it's all the hard work and
Well,
putting the right thing in the right place. So hats off, dude.
oh,
That's kind of the dream for a lot of people.
yeah. Well, thank you very much. I will admit though, there
Mhm.
is a sense of luck that goes into a lot of this. There really is. And I say that because when I have people ask me that are interested in working for bands and they're like, how did you start working for a band? I was like, right place at the right time. And it was about who I knew. And that's
Mhm.
pretty much how I've gotten every job in the industry. Now, don't get me wrong. I
Right.
work hard and my reputation precedes myself, but it's all about making a previous connection. Almost every job I've
Yeah.
ever gotten in the music industry has been
Hmm.
because I met somebody at some point that thought of me
Hmm.
later down the line and offered me a job or brought my name up to somebody else. So there is a certain sense of who you know, being in the right place
Yeah.
at the right time and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
But the music industry is also very small and people know if you suck or you're an asshole. And so like that kind of stuff travels
Yeah.
fast too.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like, again, with everything in life, I feel you need to be good at two things. You need two basic skills: people skills and Google skills. If
Yeah.
if you're good at these two, there's you can literally do anything,
Hmm.
anything. You need to, if you know how to ask Google the right question, you can learn anything, right?
Yeah.
And if you can talk to people, if you're good with people, it's
Yeah.
just, you just need to put your mind towards one thing and you're done.
Yeah. And part of that, being good with people too is knowing how to treat people. Like I've
Yeah.
worked with, listen, from my experience of meeting people all over the world and stuff, I always treat anybody I meet with immediate respect unless they give me a reason not to. And even if they give me a reason not to, there's no reason to be an asshole towards that person just cuz. Like I've worked with a
Yeah.
lot of people on the road that their way of doing things is to be kind of an asshole and to get on people about stuff. Dude, I've had way more success working on the road being nice to everybody and stuff like that cuz I've seen guys like when you do festivals like you guys have and you do local shows, there's always the local crew that helps you unload stuff and set up the stage. And
Yeah.
I've worked with people that just treat the local crew like shit all the time, that are like, they're not roadies, they're just here to help us and whatever. And I'm like, dude, not only will you get people to work for you better if you treat them kind, but they'll also remember you. I can't tell you how
Yeah.
many venues I've gone back to
Hmm.
where I see the same person I saw like a year before and that we remember each other from working with each other because we were nice and we
Hmm.
liked each other.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely something that that the industry needs.
mhm.
Nicer people.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
the music industry is cutthroat. Like
Oh man.
people that aren't in it don't realize like the music industry is a very, just like any other big corporation, it is a very shady
Yeah.
cutthroat business.
Oh, don't even get me started on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, people assume that as artists, you're meant to be poor. Okay. You're meant to be under a lot of debt to make a record and, to just survive. You're supposed to survive off advances,
Mhm.
apparently. You're supposed to, you know, be in debt 24/7. And when, so in our conversation previously with labels, they would just be surprised at the fact that we don't need their money. Okay, they'd be like, "What? You don't need money? But you're in India." So we're like,
Oh yeah.
guys, listen, it's not like that. We've got an amazing support base. Our patrons are amazing. We've got YouTube going on. We know how to record ourselves and shoot our own videos and all that. So what are you saying? How do you have all of this sorted out? And I just keep thinking these guys are
Yeah.
so old school that they really need to adapt quickly. And who've adapted quickly? Rappers. They've changed
Yeah.
the game. Like hip hop artists, they've changed the game, man. The world's first distribution agreement, only distribution agreement, where the artist keeps 80% and the label gets 20%, was because one hip hop artist said, "This is not how I'm going to do music or my business." And he changed everything. I'm forgetting his name because I'm horrible with names, but that guy just changed it
Well,
all for everyone.
I don't know if it is, but I know like Chance the Rapper, like the stuff he self releases everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
like
But
has no
I'm talking
support from
about the
anybody.
person who did that back in the
Yeah.
90s. So that's where the distribution agreement started. Now, again, like people like Chance the Rapper, they're saying you don't even need distribution agreement.
Hmm.
All you need to do is put your music online, and you can do that for $20 a month, blah blah blah. But that's for hip hop artists.
Yeah.
We can't do that yet because people still buy CDs, people still buy vinyls.
Yeah. And
That's kind of hard to do. Yeah.
yeah, but I see from my perspective, I
Mm-hmm.
do see the landscape changing, especially with labels like um, Orbit Culture is a great example of that because when I talked to
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas,
Mm-hmm.
they put out such a great record in 2021, and then they just put out, or sorry, in 2020, and then they put out a great EP in 2021, and they're signed with Seek and Strike Records, which is like a pretty
Mm-hmm.
small independent label in the U.S. And I
Oh, is
asked
it
him,
seek and strike or seek and destroy?
Seek and Strike,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
They have Orbit Culture. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
most of the bands they have are non-U.S. bands, which is kind of wild because they're a U.S. label. But I
Okay.
asked him, I was like, surely you guys had to have been courted by other labels. He's like, oh yeah, we talked to everybody. He goes, everybody you
Mm-hmm.
could think of in the metal game, we talked to him. But we
Mm-hmm.
went with Seek and Strike because they gave us the freedom for our creativity and everything that we wanted. These other labels wanted way bigger deals than we were comfortable with. They wanted us
Mm-hmm.
recording with other people. Where with
Mm-hmm.
Seek and Strike, they basically let us do everything we want to do. And labels are going
Mm-hmm.
to start finding out that's very important to artists now, man. The bands don't
Yeah.
need to rely on the labels anymore to do what they want to do.
Yeah. 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 They definitely need to update their mindset, man.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just everything's going digital. It's about time that even rock and metal goes completely digital.
Hmm.
And at that point, the labels will just be they won't have any reason to exist.
Yeah. And
Except, but yeah, go ahead.
no, I was really quick. I was going to say you're starting to see the change with labels on YouTube as well. When
Mm-hmm.
I first started doing reactions,
Mm-hmm.
I got copyright claims, blocks, all that stuff on everything I did, everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I started just getting into this mindset of like, well, maybe I should just reach out to these labels and see if they'd be comfortable kind of working in cooperation with me, like
Yeah.
doing their stuff.
Yeah.
And in the last year, about the last year, I've seen a big change in the attitude of how labels feel about
Mm.
reactions online. Because at first,
Yeah.
when I first started, every single label was like, no, like you can't use our material. This is ours. You can't use it. But now, some of the younger
Yeah.
labels, now the major labels that are run by
Mm-hmm.
all these like old school mindset corporate people,
Yeah.
they still don't
Yeah.
get it. They still don't get it
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
It's
younger
nuts. Yeah.
labels, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable saying it out loud. It's like Napalm Records,
Mm-hmm.
Nuclear Blast, Seek and
Mm-hmm.
Strike, AFM. Like there's so many I could list, but the point that I want to make is they have seen what can be done for bands with the attention from reactions, and they are
Yeah.
now approving reactors to use their material for their
Yeah.
reactions. So
Yeah.
pretty much everything I do on my channel, I've
Hmm.
basically asked for permission, for lack of a better word, because I think the younger people that are working at these labels are finally realizing, like, this is free promotion for these bands. like
That is true.
like
That is true.
like we don't have to
Yeah.
spend a dime on marketing because there's 100 reactors that are going to do a video on this song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's changing
That's
too.
very true.
Hmm.
It's a symbiotic relationship, you know,
Yeah.
between artists and reactors, or reviewers or anything. It's a very important symbiotic relationship right now, which not just labels, distributors have a hard time understanding.
Yeah.
So when we were starting out with the recent releases, we had planned to send out our videos to as many reactors before they're actually out.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we told them was, listen, uh, if you're on board, we'll get your video whitelisted. Okay. There won't be any copyright claim. It's completely up to you if you want to do it. And if you want to do it, just do it like a day before, and you release it the moment the video releases, so that it's beneficial for everyone.
Hmm.
uh, the distributor agreed once, twice, and then the third time I asked the representative from the distributor, they were like, this is not exactly a part of our deal, and what you're doing, it's probably going to piss off the higher ups. I'm like, what's this about?
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, what are you losing? A
Yeah.
few dollars
Yeah,
for
because
what? Yeah.
because I'll be completely honest with you right now, and
Mhm.
I've been honest with people that watch YouTube too. They want to know how much money reactors are making, because everybody sees
Oh.
some reaction videos that are making hundreds of thousands of views, and they're like, "Oh, these reactors are making so much money from these bands." I'll tell you right now, actually, while we're sitting here
Mhm.
talking, I'll
Mhm.
I'll I'll pull up my YouTube analytics and I'll tell you what kind of money we're talking, because that is one of the big arguments, is that a lot of people that are against reactions are saying that it's
Mhm.
taking money from the labels and bands. So for example, I'll just pull up a recent video that I did.
Mhm.
Let's say here, Sabaton, a recent
Mhm.
Sabaton video I did for the Unkillable Soldier.
Mhm.
In a month, I've made $100 in ad revenue off of that video. And the
Mhm.
other thing that for people to keep in mind is that most of the views that reaction videos get are within the
Mhm.
first week of that release.
Right.
So, in the lifetime of that video being on my channel, can't really imagine that it's going to make more than that. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that so people actually hear a number and know, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
They need to know that, it's not like someone's
yeah.
stealing from anyone else. They don't get the whole, the way this thing works. And, again, hats off to the YouTube generation
Hmm.
for really changing the game. And, it like reactors and reviewers, they give us a chance to fight the algorithm. You get
Hmm.
me? Which is so biased towards um, hip hop and uh, pop, or whatever you may, Bollywood
Yeah.
in our case. So it's literally you guys, because you bring new audience to us. The algorithm understands, okay, this might be something people are interested in, and then it sends it to new people, and then we get those comments that I'm here from the algorithm. That's when we know it works.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the kind of that's the kind of symbiotic relationship everyone should be okay with.
Hmm.
It's not like a reactor is gonna make get more views off the like than the original or something. You
Yeah.
get me? So it's weird why there's so much problem. If it were
And
up to bands, I'm sure no one would disagree.
oh,
Yeah,
I've
it's not up to
never.
bands.
I recently did a video on my channel where I reached out to bands and labels and I said, hey, you don't
Hmm.
have to give me your name if you don't want to, but I want to make a video with
Hmm.
like actual statistics and quotes from bands and labels, what they feel about reaction videos.
Hmm.
Every single band and label that I talked to
Hmm.
all said they were for reaction videos. A lot of them gave me direct quotes on what they think. Like, One of the
Mm-hmm.
A&R reps at Century Media Records told me that
Mm-hmm.
he's like, we're in a phase right now where reactors on YouTube are becoming
Mm-hmm.
like the new music journalists that we used to see in the 90s when
Yeah.
there was print magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only people that didn't get a hold of me or respond to me, the publishers. Like, and it's
Okay.
and it's funny because
Mm-hmm.
in my experience with some of these labels, the publishers will listen to the labels. If a label tells a publisher to drop a copyright claim or whitelist it, they
Mm-hmm.
will. But if a band does it directly, not as much of a chance. Like you just told me, I know who your publisher is. I'm not going to say it out loud just in case, but you were just saying that they were kind of combative with you guys trying to
Yeah.
whitelist, reactors doing your videos. I just had this
Yeah.
happen with another band. They
Mm-hmm.
reached out to me and asked
Mm-hmm.
me to do a reaction to their video. And
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, I did because I already
Mm-hmm.
liked their band. And they're like, "Yeah, we'll
Mm-hmm.
get it whitelisted for you." And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." So
Mm-hmm.
I filmed the reaction. I sent them the link. And
Mm-hmm.
after about 5 days, the copyright claim was still on it. And I got back a hold of them and I was like, "Hey, not a huge deal, but this never got cleared."
Mm-hmm.
And they basically came back and they're like, "Yeah, our publisher is saying they won't." And I'm just like, "Interesting." Like, so the publishers aren't even listening
Yeah.
to the bands.
Mm.
Like,
It's
that's what's
stuff like this
wild to
that,
me.
yeah. It's stuff like this that kind of keeps us away from, being not being independent, even though we're not 100% independent right now
Yeah.
because of the distribution and the publishing and whatever. But yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, man. And then,
Yeah.
the other thing that I find hilarious is when publishers block or issue copyright strikes on videos. The block doesn't make sense to me at all because okay, if the issue here is you think they're taking money, then
Yeah.
keep the copyright claim on there and just take all their ad revenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you're doing by blocking the video is actually hurting the band for exposure that they would get from this reaction.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 It's an interesting conversation, man. Even YouTubers, like we talk about all this stuff with each other all the time
Hmm.
because we're so
Hmm.
curious. And the copyright algorithm on YouTube is so hit or miss that I have filmed reaction videos
Hmm.
to somebody that I know that just released theirs the day before, and then
Hmm.
mine gets a worldwide block and theirs didn't get
Hmm.
one. But then I've had it happen the other way around too, where mine doesn't get blocked. Like recently somebody reached out to me and asked me, they're like, "Hey, I saw you released a video. How did you get that up?" I was like, "What do you mean?" Like I tried to upload mine and it got blocked. I was like, "Mine didn't. I don't know what to tell you." Like it's inconsistent.
I wonder who decides all of this. Some guy in some room just pressing yes or no,
Well,
you know?
dude, I think it's more accurate to that than you would think. So when you upload a
Yeah.
video on YouTube, the algorithm is
Mhm.
what gives you your initial copyright. But
Yeah.
if you file a dispute with it, it goes to the
Yeah.
publisher. We think that what these publishers are doing, and I'm not even kidding, because we know they're not reading our disputes because
Yeah.
there's another really big reactor, like with
Hmm.
hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more subscribers than I do.
Hmm.
They have said that when they dispute copyright appeals, they leave their
Hmm.
video unlisted, so it's at zero
Hmm.
views. And I do the same.
Okay.
And they'll send in a dispute, and it'll get
Hmm.
denied, and it'll still have zero views on it. So that tells us the
Okay.
publishers aren't reading any of the disputes
Right.
people are sending in, or
Right.
watching the videos.
Mm.
We think that these publishers just basically
Hmm.
grab an intern and go, "Hey, once a
Hmm.
week, just go to all the copyrights and select all and click deny." like, like I,
Sounds like people who give us visas.
oh man, unfortunately, but no, I really think that's way more accurate than I think you meant it to be. Like, I think that's what happens,
Probably.
but it is what it is, man. It's like coming from the music industry. I knew when I was doing YouTube content with other people's music, I knew that was going to be a thing. I just didn't
Yeah.
think it was going to
Yeah.
be as ridiculous as it is sometimes.
Yeah. 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 It's nuts. But in fact, I think Nick had to really face the brunt of it, when he decided to not do reactions at all unless, it's approved, pre-approved by the labels or something like
Yeah.
that. right? So
That's
yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at too, to be honest.
Mm,
For about the last 8 months,
yeah.
99% of my reactions have been stuff that I have been told by the band or label they're okay
Mm,
with me doing before I do it. Actually, funny
mm,
enough, and
mm.
I'm not I don't want to make you feel bad here because I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Your video
Mm-hmm.
that I just did a few days ago or whatever is
Mm-hmm.
the only video that I have a copyright claim on my channel in like the last 30 days.
Did
Because
you reach out to the persons in charge
nah.
for this?
No, because
No?
I'm not worried about it. Like, dude, there are
Okay.
cases like with your band. I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the monetization. I just like your band and I just wanted to do the video. Like seriously, I'm
No,
being
that's
there's
very nice of you, dude. Like, it honestly, every person who does this, we were very grateful to them, and we really wish we could do anything about it at this point in time. We
yeah.
could do it about the first two videos, but this one, they've really put their foot down on it. They were like,
Hmm.
it's not a part of our
Yeah,
deal or whatever. It's just, I wish I could change it, man, really,
dude.
because I understand the relationship that bands and reactors have. It's very important in this day and age. I just wish everyone understood it, man.
Yeah. And like I said, dude, it's not a big deal.
Mhm.
A copyright, I'm not worried about. If I get a copyright claim on something, whatever, don't care.
Mhm.
Now, if I uploaded that reaction and it got blocked or I got a copyright strike on it, I probably would have
Mhm.
reached out to him then and been like, yo, what? Like,
Yeah,
no, like,
yeah.
you know, but a copyright claim is whatever. And like I
But
said,
if that ever happens, you let me know, okay?
yeah, for sure.
Because
And
yeah.
no, I appreciate you saying that because there's other artists that are doing that too. Like,
Mhm.
Arjen Lucassen, uh, a lot of people are doing reactions to his stuff, but his
Mhm.
publisher is very strict on blocking videos. And he has
Mhm.
openly said, like, if any reactors ever get a block on any one of my reaction, like a reaction you did to my video, just let me know and I will get it unblocked. And he fights for those people all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the way to go, man. That's the way to
Yeah.
go, for sure.
So I've had you for a couple hours. It's almost midnight there right now,
Is it?
right? Is it?
It's
Right?
always midnight in my room.
I was, that's like me. All my windows around me here too. I have
Yeah.
blackout curtains on everything, so when I film and stuff, it looks the same. But
Yeah.
I had a quick story for you, really quick.
Go ahead.
And which I feel like I've been talking too much, anyways. Is it's all somebody's gonna leave. So you probably figure out I'm a very talkative person too. There's always
Yeah.
one or two people that every time I do an interview or a podcast are like, "You
Hmm.
talk too much," and I'm like, "Okay,
That's
cool."
the point.
I was like, well, that's it's our conversation we're having. People just get to watch,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I have a funny story for you
Hmm. Hmm.
that I think you will appreciate and maybe have some cultural input on this.
Hmm.
So when I was in a band,
Hmm.
this was back in like 2006 maybe.
Hmm.
We were on tour, but when we were on package tours, we liked every time there was a day off, we liked to book our own show. And a lot of universities in the US have budgets for entertainment where they can have bands come in and do shows for the students and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I reached out to Eastern Illinois University
Hmm.
on a day off and said, "Hey, we're on tour with so and so right now, but we have a day off. Could we play on your campus for students?" And they're like, "Yeah, we actually
Hmm.
have an event going on that same day that this would be perfect for entertainment for." And we're like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Okay.
So we booked this show. They didn't tell us what it was for. We booked the
Hmm.
show and we show up to the EIU campus and we find out we are playing a show for like a festival that the Indian Students Association was putting on. And we walk in, all of us wearing
I know where this is going.
we walk in, all of us
Yeah.
wearing like skinny jeans and studded belts and stuff, and it's like it's the entire Indian Students Association of Eastern Illinois University all dressed up and stuff like that. And we're like, my guitar player, you know, appropriately so at the time, my guitar player is like, what did you just book us for? I was like, I have no idea. So we meet the person that was in charge of everything, and they were so nice, and they're like, thank you so much for playing. This is going to be really fun. Like, everybody's been excited about it. And we're like, really? And you got to keep in mind, like, we're a band that nobody there probably knows. Like, we're, an opening band on a tour. So they're like, yeah, we're going to set up in this auditorium over here. And it was a classroom. It was like a university level, like,
Yeah.
stadium seating classroom. So
Yeah.
they have us set up, and we sound check and stuff like that. And then when it comes time for showtime, we're all kind of like, all right, let's just get through this. This is going to be really weird. Like, it's going to be awkward, whatever. Like, let's just put on a good show.
Yeah.
Dude, we start playing, and there's probably 200 students.
Mhm.
Those people lost their fucking minds. They to this day are my favorite crowd I've ever played to in my entire life. There's video of it online. After this interview,
I have to see this. I have to see this.
after this interview, I'm going to try and find this video. I think it's still on YouTube. But we start playing, and everybody packs in front of the stage. And for the length of the set, like the whole hour, people are fucking dancing their asses off and chanting and going crazy. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I guess I tell you that story to ask you the question, like, is that very common for Indian culture with stuff like that, like the dancing and the chanting and for any kind of performance?
It's very common in colleges. It
Okay.
is super common in colleges. So in India, we've got a college festival culture where, the only time you can tour is during college festivals because they're the biggest crowd and they're the best crowd, in all honesty. They're the guys who'll go nuts. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's rock or blues or, I've seen, like, it wasn't a very nice sight, but I've seen people moshing to singer-songwriter stuff. so,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it was awkward, but it's just something about the college crowd when it comes to Indians. They just want to, let loose. They just want to, if there's a band playing, they're just going to be there. It doesn't matter what the genre is, they're going to enjoy it. And we as Bloodywood, we have to play in front of a college audience. We're really looking forward to it. But to answer your question, it is a common thing for only that little age where you're in, this period of time when you're in a college.
Yeah.
And then it just goes away, man. I don't know where it goes away, but you don't see that elsewhere. So yeah.
I mean, it was one of the more crazy experiences where, the expectations you have for things, like going in, you're like, all right, let's just get through this.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be one of my favorite things we ever did. And it's actually funny because one of the musicians in town that I know that I've toured with, his name's Sid. He was born here, but his parents moved here from India. So he very much grew up in the Indian culture. I recently reached out to him because the only reason that I know about like Bollywood and that culture is from him. Like, he was explaining it to me on tour one day, and I was just like, that's insane. Like, he's like, dude, Bollywood runs everything in India.
Everything, man. Everything. Yeah.
So I texted him recently, and I was like, have you listened to Bloodywood yet? And he goes, no, but just by the name, this has got to be something Indian, right? And I was like, yeah, and I'll admit the reason I'm telling you about it is also because you're Indian and I want you to see this. And he's like, no, I haven't heard of him. So I kind of gave him your background and told him what you're doing. And I sent him the live performance of Machi Basad and then the music video for Aj. And he was like, this is fucking amazing. He's like, I've never heard like the dole used like this in any of this. He goes, dude, he's like, these guys are onto something. And I was like, we'll see, man.
All right. I'm glad he liked it. And, generally what happens is, Indian metalheads are generally very old school. Okay. They're very into thrash, into, even the Black Sabbath kind of stuff. For some reason, I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it's generally these people who are on our videos and they're like, this is not real Indian metal. If you want to listen to Indian metal, listen to some pure bands like X and X and Y and Y, and we've got those bands. But it's generally those people. That makes me extra glad that he responded so positively to it,
Yeah.
being a metalhead himself.
Oh yeah. And it's so cool to see people's response to this music, man. I mean, again,
Mhm.
it is something very unique that I don't, and I think you guys succeeded in creating something that the world hasn't really heard, and it's just fantastic. So it is now midnight for you. Before we go, I always
Mhm.
like to ask this question to any artist just so people can hear it from their mouth. Whether it's
Wait,
financial.
wait.
Yeah.
I've got a few questions for you.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So I'm not sure whether you heard of this community called Bloodywood Raj posting on Facebook.
Oh, I'm
It's
not on
this.
Facebook.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So before coming on to this podcast, I just left a message over there that I'm going to speak to Tank. Hit me with some stupid questions to ask him.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So just let me see if anyone actually.
No, you're
Oh yeah, there
fine.
are there are there are a few comments. Yeah. There we go. Ask him to say something in Hindi. Okay. Uh, are you familiar with anything in Hindi at all?
No, I mean, other than the
No.
lyrics from your music, no.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you to say this. Okay. It's a very popular dialogue from Bollywood. Okay.
Okay.
Try to repeat after me. ओ कालिया कितने आदमी थे?
O Kalia Kitni Namite? No?
That close enough. Close enough.
What did I just say?
Nothing. It's a it's a very famous dialogue from a cult Indian movie where this person asks this other person called Kalia. He asks this person how many men were there. It's I don't even know the reference. It's such a popular dialogue, but I just know that the dialogue's very popular. So, all right, not bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, I feel dumb now.
no. Don't be. I mean, okay. Uh, do you like dogs?
I love dogs.
I,
Absolutely love
I already
dogs.
know the answer
Yeah,
to
we
that
talked that.
question.
Yeah, we've got two here.
Okay. Ideas for Jayant how to get his beard more fluffier.
Okay. I'll just give you my what I do. First of all, people are
Yeah.
like, people always ask, how do you get your beard so long? My answer
Mhm.
is don't shave. I don't do anything. I just don't shave.
Right.
But I do every time I shower. I use
Mhm.
shampoo and conditioner, like beard shampoo and conditioner, and
Mhm.
that will keep it fluffier. But I also put
Okay.
beard oil in it after I shower. But that's it. Like, and I don't really brush it out too much because you can
Yeah.
like straighten it too much and stuff like that. I just kind of do it with my hands and do that, and that's it.
Well, I don't think Jayant is gonna really put even half of that effort into it. So, but I will let him know.
Yeah.
I will let him know. Can you ask him to do the rap part of Danadan,
Oh my
or
God,
what
no
made the guitar?
chance. Dude, and actually, since you brought that up, I think that
Yeah.
was the one part when I first heard that song that I was just like, God damn! And it's not just Raul,
Yeah.
it's
Jayant
Jayant as
also. Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
both their parts are unreal. I showed that music video to my wife, and she was
Mhm.
like, even with the subtitles, I cannot keep up right now. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
dude, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is quite fast. They both of them did a really great job
Oh,
on that
dude, those
particular
those
song. Yeah.
two, those two are two of my favorite vocalists right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love those two guys, man.
Oh man, I let them know. It's gonna make their day.
Yeah.
So ask him which album would he take on a desert island if he could choose one, and had something to listen with. I don't know what that means. Probably have someone to listen with, but you can't choose Bloodywood. Okay,
Okay.
so
This
I'm gonna
is
put that out because it should be completely unbiased.
well, I will fully admit right now,
Mhm.
Bloodywood, your newest CD that is
Mhm.
absolutely the most played thing on my Spotify in the last 3 weeks. I would be willing to bet right now that at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the year, when Spotify does those end of the year wrapped things,
Mm-hmm.
my top 10 songs will have at least 5 Bloodywood tracks from that album in them.
Amazing. All right. All right.
So any album, God, these are
Hmm.
such hard questions
Yeah,
because
this one's hard.
music is for emotions and moods as well.
Yeah.
So God, I'll probably just go with an old faithful for me.
Mm-hmm.
Either Hate Crew Death Roll by Children of Bodom.
Mm-hmm.
That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Or Colony by In Flames is probably Colony by In
Good
Flames is
choices.
probably my go-to. I mean, that's
Yeah.
and the reason I
It's
go
gonna
to
pick you up and also make you angry.
and the
Yes,
reason I
has
go
to.
to those is
Yeah.
because like we were talking about earlier with music tying into emotions, those are
Mm.
albums that I listened to as a teenager when as teenagers we go through ranges of
Yeah.
emotions and I connect to those albums a lot. But man, God, that's why, dude. Even the question of like when people are like, "Who are your top 5 favorite bands?" I was like, I can't do that.
It changes with time.
It
It changes
changes.
with, yeah,
Always.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Now,
Are there any more? I don't think there are any. I mean, the other ones, they just,
yeah.
they're
If
gonna make me look stupid. So
no, it's okay. Like it is funny though.
yeah.
If you want to go off like based off tattoos, there is only
Hmm.
one band I actually have a tattoo of. I have their logo, and that is In Flames. I have their logo on the back of my arm.
Nice.
I am, however,
Mhm.
considering getting a Bloodywood tattoo as well. So
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So
Don't
there's
even
actually quite a
consider it,
few.
man.
There's
Go for
actually
it.
quite a few bands on my list right now of next
Yeah.
tattoos.
Amazing. If that ever happens, you have to send me a photo and then I'll
Oh,
send it to
absolutely.
the Raj posting community and they'll be like,
Or
yeah,
or
one
if
more,
this
one more.
or if you guys come to the States, I'll wait
Yeah.
until either A, I'm out with you guys, or I can go to a show that you're near and I'll get it with you
Yeah.
guys.
Amazing. Amazing, man. That would be something really.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So there was one question that you wanted to ask me.
Okay. So the
Oh,
question.
wait. Sorry. There's one question I want to ask you. All right.
Okay.
That was from the rest of the guys. So,
Yeah.
um, have what advice do you have for us? Okay. Knowing what stage we're in.
Dude, this is going
Mm-hmm.
to sound really probably not the answer you're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I would just say keep doing what you're doing right now. You guys are doing everything right from what I'm seeing. You guys are making better decisions and doing things that I've seen established bands that have been around for years not do. Just from watching your documentary, the amount of time that you put into crafting your sound before you do shows and working like, dude, the scene where you guys were in your rehearsal space and doing like leg lifts and working out and stuff. Dude, my band used to do that before shows. We actually used to run
Yeah.
through our set and jog in
Yeah.
place while we were playing our guitars to get
Yeah.
our endurance
Yeah.
up. Like,
Yeah.
dude, seriously, man, you guys right now, in my opinion, from what I've seen from
Mm-hmm.
you guys, are doing everything that a band needs to do to really just be on the right path, man. And you guys are doing things that other bands aren't even doing. So, I think in the day and age that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys are already doing this,
Mm-hmm.
it is very important to keep up with your community. It's very easy for lots of bands nowadays to just put things out and expect everybody's just going to listen and be
Mm.
like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the bands that have been interacting with their fans and have
Mm.
been welcoming that community that you're seeing that loyalty. And there are bands that are doing a great job at this right now, and in my opinion, those are the bands that are standing out above everybody else. Like take Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, for example.
Yeah.
On his Twitch stream, he
Mm-hmm.
he watches every reaction that people put up to his new music videos. Now, half the time he's being sarcastic and funny about it because that's just his personality. But
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
watches every video. He thanks the
Yeah.
people that did it. And
Mm.
that to me is the move that shows an artist genuinely cares about how people are taking their music. And
Yeah.
there are bands that I've done reactions to that leave comments, which is always super great when I see
Yeah.
bands that are in live premieres or leaving comments. And then
Mm.
you have some bands that don't do anything. Like I
Mm.
have, and it doesn't matter what level they are. I've
Mm.
reacted to bands that would be considered like a low level band
Mm.
that don't leave me a comment or share a reaction or
Mm.
whatever. And they don't need to. I'm not trying to drag them
Yeah.
down for that. But on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
flip side of that, I've had bands like Sabaton who are
Mm.
huge
Yeah. They're massive. Yeah.
reposting reaction videos, leaving comments, stuff like that. And that right there is
Mm.
the difference. Is the longevity of a band. If you build that loyalty with your community and your fans and actually treat them as
Yeah.
part of that family,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's you guys are already doing it, man. You're on the right path.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, dude.
Of course. Seriously. I mean, when I told you before we started this interview that I
Mm.
was really excited about this, I mean that because I think, in my opinion, you guys are. I think you guys are going to go down in metal history. You guys are at the beginning of something
Oh, man.
very, very special.
Thank you, dude. Thank
Of
you.
course.
I really hope that happens.
Yeah. No, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where you guys go, man. I mean, it is not often that I get an album and am able
Mhm.
to listen to it from start to finish without. Now, when I get an album, I always listen to it from start to finish to get the vibe of the
Mhm.
whole thing. I usually sit back here and turn off my
Yeah.
distractions and just listen.
Yeah.
But after a while, when you listen to music, there are songs that you may get tired of or that you don't connect to
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately. And sometimes in that album, you skip them. I
Yeah.
have never once skipped a song on this album as I've been listening to it.
That's
That
nuts,
is,
man. I'd skip so many songs.
oh, and the funny thing
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
my favorites are not necessarily, well, I guess they would be
The
because
top. Mhm.
my favorites, if I'm being honest, I think
Mhm.
Aj is one of the best songs I've heard in recent years. I think
Amazing.
that song made me fucking cry the first time I heard it. I'm not even kidding.
Uh,
Like it just, I don't know what it
yeah.
is. It might be your
Mm-hmm.
whistle playing because I'm a sucker for
Hmm.
folk and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
just the chorus of that song is so powerful.
Hmm.
Endurant is another one of my favorites.
Okay.
But again, dude, start to finish, that CD is a fucking work of art, man.
I'm so glad you like it, man. I'm
Oh,
so
of
glad you
course.
like it.
So,
Mm.
well,
Yeah.
dude, this is, I honestly, I'm not going to do this to you because it's midnight, but I feel like we could sit here and talk about so much stuff.
Tell me about it,
But,
man. Yeah.
to kind of
Mm.
wrap this up, the one thing I want to ask
Mm.
you that I always ask everybody,
Mm.
whether it's financial or not, what would you say is the best way that people can support you guys as a band?
Hmm. Okay. Whether it's financial or not,
Yeah, it doesn't have to
I
be
think. Okay.
money. It
Okay.
could be something as simple as somebody just sharing your music.
Hmm. That's actually a very hard question, in all honesty, because I don't want to give a cliched answer to this.
It's funny. I
Um.
love that you're thinking about this because most people, when I ask them that question,
Mm.
it's a fast answer, and it's
Mm.
either one of two things. It's just share our
Share
music
my
with all your
music,
friends,
buy my merch,
or buy my merch and come
buy
get
the
you.
thing.
And those things help.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
let's be honest here, but
They do help, but okay, here's what I think. I think telling a friend about our song that really connects with them at the moment they need it would help us the most, because that's where we have a lifelong fan right over there. Um, Sharing our music is just, it's like, I don't think it's as valuable as sharing the particular song that that person might like in that particular moment. Not only would it help that person, it would also help the band. So that's probably the best way to support us.
that is a fucking great answer, honestly. That's that's so much deeper than just, share our music. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, I've done that with people. If I have a
Hmm.
song that really deeply makes me feel something and I connect to and know that
Yeah.
somebody else might feel the same, I'll show them that song. That's a great answer, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know how I came up with it, but
No, well, however you came up with it, you got there. So, but dude,
all right.
I have absolutely enjoyed sitting here with you, man. This has been
Same here,
awesome.
man.
If
Yeah.
if there's anything, I don't care what it is. If
Mhm.
there's anything that I can ever do to help you guys out in any way, just ask. Like, like I said, you guys are at the start of something very, very special, and I cannot wait to see where this career goes with Bloodywood.
Thank you so much, man. And I'm gonna pick your brain multiple times
Yeah, of
when
course.
we, when it comes to the US and touring and everything. I'll be in touch. You're gonna hate me very soon.
Dude, I promise I will not. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, for everybody that's listening, just as a reminder, if you haven't gotten it, Bloodywood's brand new album, Rakshak, is out now, came out February 18th, and then the physicals are coming out April 8th. I'll throw some links below if you're watching this on YouTube where you can go check out that stuff. And yeah, man, one more time, thank you very much for being here, man. This was fantastic.
My absolute pleasure, man.
Awesome. Well, it's since it's after midnight there, get some rest, have a good one, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, I'm sure about that too.
All
All
right.
right.
Take care, man.
See you. Bye.
Man, you talk about a humble, down to earth guy. I love this guy, man. That was absolutely fantastic. Went longer than I thought, too. I mean, this is probably going to be over 2 hours once I go back and listen to this. And it's a lot of stuff that came up that I never would have expected. I feel like we had some really good conversations and got to know each other pretty well, too, man. I felt like we could have sat there for another couple hours talking about stuff, but I really hope you guys enjoyed it, man. And just as a reminder again, their brand new album is out digitally right now, everywhere that you listen to music. If you're one of the people that's watching this on YouTube, I'll throw links below where you can go pre-order the physicals if you would like to, and check the links where you can go stream it now. And just as a reminder, this podcast is also on Spotify, Apple, Google, and a lot of other places where you can listen to podcasts. So once again, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. You can find me on social media at the handle @TankTheTech, and we will definitely be back very soon. I've got some other interviews that are lined up that are going to be really cool, and I can't wait to continue talking to artists in the future. But thank you one last time. This has been the Back Lounge Podcast. I'm Tank, and I'll see you guys very soon.